everyone. I'm Miss Sarah, and this is Virtual Makerspace. Your challenge this week is inspired by an old saying, April showers bring May flowers. Since this week marks the end of April and the beginning of May, your challenge will be to use the things you have around your house to create a flower. I'm going to try something a little different this week. I'm actually going to show you step by step how I make flowers with some things in my home. Feel free to follow along or create your own design with things you have in your home. Next, I'm going to show you how I create flowers out of ribbon. This is actually one of my favorite beginning sewing projects, and it's one that I really like teaching kids at sewing programs at the library. So to start off, you're going to need some ribbon. You want the ribbon to be pretty thin. This is 5/8 of an inch, and it will create a flower that looks something like this. You can also use thinner ribbon and make a flower that looks more like this. So first I want to think about how big I want my flower to be. Now I know I want my flower to be about 3 inches. So I'm going to need to cut pieces of ribbon that are twice that, so 6 inches. So I've got my ruler here and I'm going to cut 6-inch pieces of ribbon. Now the other thing you need to think about are how many petals you want your flower to have. I want my flower to have 6 petals, so I need to cut half that number of pieces of ribbon, so 3 pieces of ribbon. So I'm just going to cut a couple more, and a trick is if you have one piece and you know how long it is, you can line it up against another piece and that will tell you where you need to cut. So that's 2 and 3. Next, I am going to fold these in half and give it a little bit of a crease, just so I know where the halfway point is. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with all 3 pieces of ribbon. All right, so next you need to have a needle with some thread on it. I chose white thread to match my ribbon. And we're going to take the needle like this and put the ribbon onto the needle where that crease is. So like this. Now you are keeping it on the needle. You're not going to pull the needle through yet. You're actually going to build your flower on this needle. So there's one. I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2. And note that I am aiming for the middle of the ribbon and I am fanning it out a bit so it looks like that. Next, I'm going to take the ends and start putting those over the needle. So like that. And I'm going to do that with all 6 of my petals. Don't worry if they move around a bit as you do this. You can always spread them out again before you sew it together. Okay. So now I have something that looks like this. You can see the 6 petals, and now I'm going to pinch in the middle there to hold everything in place, and then bring my needle through that center where all of the ribbon overlaps. I'm going to do this a few times just to hold everything in place. And the reason I say that I like this as a beginning sewing project is it's a good way to practice some of those stitches. All right, so now it's holding together. The last thing you'll need is a center for your flower. Now I like to use buttons for this, and I happen to pick this yellow button so it looks like a daisy. Now we're going to sew the button to the middle of the flower. So I'm going to pass it through one of the holes in the button and down the other. And I'm just going to do this a few times until the button is nice and secure. This is another good way to practice sewing buttons. All right, one more time. There we go. So now I'm going to make a small knot in the back to hold everything in place and trim my thread, and there we go. That is your completed flower. So, what else can you use to create a flower? Here are a few more things I found around my home. Some fabric scraps, some more buttons, and I actually created this little flower using buttons and the twist tie from a loaf of bread. Some other stem ideas include pipe cleaners or straws, but feel free to look around your home and you might find something else that works really well as a stem. So for the flowers themselves, a few more ideas are paper and paper products. So this is computer paper, but you could also use construction paper or cardstock or newspaper. And don't forget things like cupcake liners or coffee filters or paper plates or egg cartons. Now, a few other things that I didn't have in my home that you might like to use would be things like duct tape or edible things like frosting or fondant that you can use to make edible flowers. So I hope you guys are feeling inspired. As always, I want to encourage you to experiment and be creative, and I'm really excited to see what things you'll use to make your own flowers. If you're looking for some additional flower-inspired activities, here are 5 more things that you can try. Number 1, create enough flowers to make your own bouquet. Can you upcycle something in your home to act as a vase to hold all your flowers? Number 2, plant a flower seed and track your flowers' growth. Number 3, read a book about plants or flowers. I'll include a link to some ebooks that you can borrow from the library through Hoopla. Number 4, head outside and go on a spring scavenger hunt. Can you find any flowers growing? How about some birds? I'll include a link to a scavenger hunt list. And number 5, did you know that people used to send secret messages using flowers? That's because certain flowers have certain meanings. For example, red roses mean love, while yellow roses mean friendship. Can you create your own secret message with flowers? I'll include a link to some flower meanings in the description. As always, we'd love to see the things you guys are making, so take a picture of your flower and share it with us at the library. You can share with us through our Facebook at www.facebook.com/FHCPL or through our Instagram. Our handle is @FHCPL. And while you're there, let us know what you thought of the addition of a tutorial. Did you guys like seeing me make something on camera? Would you like me to make some more things? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I hope you guys have lots of fun working on that project this week. I really am excited to see the virtual garden that we will create, and I will see you all next week. Bye!